Hello and welcome to week 6 for LLB203 Constitutional Law. As always, I'm Peter Black. So it's week 6, which means two things. First of all, it means we're almost halfway through the semester. And hopefully some of the unit content is all beginning to make sense and fit into its proper context. In particular, hopefully by now you are beginning to get used to the process of characterization that we'll be looking at over the past few weeks. Whereby you try and characterize a law as being a law with respect to a head of power contained in section 51 of the Constitution. So we've had some general stuff about characterization, and we've looked at a few different heads of power already. We've looked at the corporation's power, we've looked at the trade and commerce power, we've looked at external affairs, and also aliens, immigration, and immigration powers. And we're going to continue this process of characterization this week by looking at the defense power and also the race power. But the other thing that week 6 means is that the advocacy exercises begin this week. Now, I'll just talk about that briefly towards the end of this sort of welcome video. But in case you are sort of nervous about that, uncertain about it, I would encourage you to go back and have a look at the update podcast that I posted last week in week 5, which really did just talk about the advocacy exercise. So if you haven't yet checked it out, and if you've got some questions, a little bit nervous at all, hopefully that will address all of those questions. Okay, on then to the content for this week. So there are two modules that you need to work through this week. One is quite long, the other is really quite short. So the really quite long module this week relates to the defense power. There's quite a bit of activity for you to get through in relation to defence. There's 6 different podcasts, a series of online quizzes, and I'm also asking you to have a read of at least part of 2 High Court cases in relation to the defence power. The first is probably one of the most important and significant constitutional law cases in our nation's history, which is the Australian Communist Party case, a seminal and crucially important case, one that touches not just on the defence power, but also separation of power and the fundamental nature of the rule of law in this country. So have a read of the Australian Communist Party case, very important landmark decision. The other case that I'm asking you to have a look at least part of is the case of Thomas and Mowbray, which is a more recent case about the scope of the defence power in relation to the war on terror. It's also going to be relevant again later on in the semester when we look at the separation of judicial power. So the defence case, or the defence power rather, is probably going to take up most of your study this week. The other module is on the race power. There's not a huge amount of law in relation to this, but it is, as you can appreciate, a very important power, and one that is currently the subject of a national conversation surrounding Indigenous recognition in our Constitution, and whether the race power and other powers that deal with race need to be amended, repealed, or added to. So again, I'd encourage you to watch or listen to that podcast and then really think about this process of Indigenous recognition and constitutional reform. Unfortunately, I think just as a matter of politics, we seem to have reached a bit of a stalemate in relation to Indigenous recognition. Everyone agrees in principle that it is a good thing to do and it is something that is overdue, but not all the players in terms of the political parties and the various stakeholders can agree as to exactly what Indigenous recognition should look like. How far should we go? So engage with that material, think about it. There's a little mini online referendum using SurveyMonkey that I'd encourage you to complete, and perhaps most importantly, engage in the conversation on the discussion board in relation to this issue. It is really very important. All right, so those then are the 2 modules for this week. Before we go, I just wanted to draw your attention to a few other things. As I said at the outset, the advocacy exercises start this week. If you haven't yet, watch that podcast from last week, or even the week 1 face-to-face lecture where I talk about the advocacy exercise. Please do so. I hope that will put your mind at ease. In relation to that, one thing which is crucially important, and which I cannot emphasize enough, and that is the fact you must upload your written outline the day before your advocacy exercise. So if you have not uploaded it to the Blackboard site, then there is nothing for the judge in the advocacy exercise to mark. So just with the way the marking works and the way Blackboard works, there physically has to be a file uploaded for you to get a mark. Please make sure you have done that. If you rock up to the advocacy exercise with your tutor this week or any other week, and you have failed to upload your written outline in advance, then the judge or the tutor won't be able to give you a mark. So please make sure you do that. That is really, really, really important. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to mention is the pulse survey results came out last week. Thank you for that. Overall, this unit seems to be quite well received. I'm going to record a separate podcast responding to that pulse survey, both the data and the written feedback, so stay tuned for that. As always, though, we do appreciate your feedback, and just a reminder, there's also on the Blackboard discussion forum the opportunity for you to anonymously post progressive feedback at any stage throughout the semester. And then finally, there's always quite a bit of news happening in a unit like constitutional law, as you've seen. Continue to check out Flipboard, Facebook, Rebel Mouse, Twitter, where I'm posting a range of these links. In particular, there's been quite a bit of discussion about the double dissolution possibility taking place on the 2nd of July, both from the legal and also the political perspective. So stay across that debate. It's going to be relevant as we move throughout the semester. Okay, that's all I wanted to say by way of introduction this week. Enjoy both your journey through the defence power and also the race power, and I'll no doubt speak to you later this week. Thank you.